in the rapidly expanding EE markets around the country. For those who may be joining us for the first time today, just a quick reminder, SEIA is a regional energy efficiency organization. We are committed to serving 11 states across the Southeast, and one of our core areas of interest is expanding access to energy efficiency finance and supporting all of the beneficial economic development opportunities that supports. We're very lucky to be joined by some excellent presenters today. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Max Toth with Clean Energy Works. He's going to introduce our other speakers and tell you more about why Workforce is so important today. Take it away, Max.
Thanks, Wesley. So briefly, I have the pleasure of getting to work with Clean Energy Works as the Director of Operations and Partnership. And I'm very excited today to be able to introduce our panelists, drawing on the wealth of experience that they represent around workforce development in the field of energy efficiency for upgrades for buildings. And it's the final webinar of this series, but it's one of the most critical as we look at the ways that we can actually make program success happen through workforce development. So briefly to introduce, we have Larry Bratton, who's the social justice advocate and green jobs coach for the Energy Conservation Corps at the Sustainability Institute of South Carolina. And we're also being joined today by Brian Cordell, the executive director of the Sustainability Institute. We'll also be hearing from Tammy Agard, who's actually stepping in generously for her colleague, Johnny Lacaz, who unfortunately was out with the flu, but his area is working mostly with contractors and really being able to support the workforce in the field to be able to ensure program success. She is the president and COO of Utility, who is the program operator for the Ouachita Electric Co-op Help Pays program, and previous participants on the webinar will recognize her from a previous session. So without further ado, I'd like Larry to take it away and tell us a bit about workforce development and their experiences at the Sustainability Institute.
Thank you so much there, Max. Hello to everyone. This is Larry from Charleston, South Carolina, and I work with the Sustainability Institute. And we have a program called the ECC, which is short for the Energy Conservation Corps. We have some best methods that have been proven through the years that have helped us build a workforce, a diverse workforce in the energy efficiency field. And I'd like to share with you some of the practices that we've used that can be duplicated anywhere. Our current program recruits youths through the ages of 17 to 24 years old. They can be at risk if you want to consider that. Some come from the detention centers, some from DJJ, some from college, some just unsure what to do with their future in between high school and going to college. Our program runs for about 6 months, 900 hours, where they're committed 9 to 4 every day, working and learning hands-on in the field, getting the technical expertise needed to do this as a career. We take them through all the diagnostic equipment from blower or duct blaster, all of the necessary tools that they're going to need and skill sets to work for an industry when they get done. We're concerned about the entire individual, so we don't just give them a technical skill, but we give them holistic training. And we've decided and found that works successful with the individuals that we recruit is on Fridays, we use it as an educational day. This is when we give them the holistic training so that they can get the financial literacy, money management, how to be a good leader in your community, all of the soft skills for job interviewing and resume preparation. And we have found that that has been very successful, that not only have we given individuals a tool, but we prepared them for success and they have long-term futures. In doing so, we found that it completes the individual and makes them now an asset to the community versus what was once considered a liability. They receive on-site combination classroom training, job training, shadowing, mentorship, apprenticeship, and through the 6 months, we get a chance to watch a life evolve into something very productive. And while they're out in the field Monday through Thursday, they're working on low-income homes for families that generally could not afford this type of work. And really, it's at no cost to the homeowner because of the grant funding we receive. They let us in, and we reduce their energy efficiency by 20 to 40%. And so as a result, homeowners now have the opportunity to have disposable income, sometimes for the first time. And so it's a win-win situation for us because now we have a life in training, we have a home that is improved, we have a family that is living in quality with disposable income, and then better than that, we have a life that's going into a career to now bring his family or her family out of poverty into success. And so we've trained individuals not only to work in this field, but also to be leaders in their communities. So now these young men and these young ladies that come through this 6-month program, they are leaders in their communities. They are mentors. They're engaged civically. They're taxpayers. And most of all, they're a beacon of light for others that have not seen the opportunity that see it's possible to be done. To allude to some of our training and certification that the individuals will get when they come into our program, I am very fortunate to have my executive director, Mr. Brian Cordell, and he's a very busy guy, so I nailed him down because this was so important, and we just want to share some of our successes with you. And I'm going to ask Brian if he can take over the next slide dealing with the training and the certification piece.
Thank you, Larry. I'm pleased to participate in this webinar, and as Larry said, our model includes national industry training and best practices training, and we settled on using the DET certification that's been real popular within the industry in the Southeast, which is the duct and envelope tightness training, and a lot of that obviously focuses on increasing the energy efficiency of the home by improving the building envelope and the ductwork, which is particularly important in a state like South Carolina, where much of our heating and cooling costs and inefficiencies relate back to the HVAC system, which is in heavy use in our warm and humid environment. So we focus on the DET industry certification. However, we also do a lot of training via the Building Performance Institute, BPI, and provide additional certification opportunities. And many of our graduates go on to receive the Building Analyst certification. And generally, what we are trying to do is provide individuals with both the skills relating to being able to be a contractor and the skills relating to being able to be an energy auditor. So we like to train in both of those areas, knowing that in our market that vertically integrated model is really popular. That also allows us to place individuals in different sectors. So some of our graduates go on to work for home builders or remodelers, and in those instances, the contracting skills are very important. Other individuals go on to work for energy auditing companies. So we focus on both. And I think an important part that Larry mentioned is that in addition to the industry training, much of what we are providing is the on-the-job training. So when we send out a construction crew Monday through Thursday, these individuals are on site upgrading homes in the community under the supervision of a licensed contractor, where they are putting their skills that they've learned through their classroom training to test and perfecting it. We should also mention that our model is provided through a partnership with National AmeriCorps. And so when Larry mentioned that these individuals are serving hours, 900 hours over a 6-month term, that is through a AmeriCorps role. And again, that's a service learning program. So these individuals are actually considered volunteers in their community and are giving back to an important cause in their community.
And to piggyback on what Brian just shared, this is over a 6-month period that lives are being transformed, 900 hours. They literally come in with no skill, just a little understanding about insulation. And during the process, we take them 0 to 100, and we get them so skilled that we have a 94% employment rate. What that really means is that we're an incubator. We now serve as an incubator for the #1 and #2 national insulation companies that look to our graduates for their future employment. So literally, when someone comes in our program, if they're good and they complete, they have a job waiting for them at the end. And on the back end, it's a game changer because we're talking about youths, 17 to 24, that may have been just bouncing a basketball, playing Xbox, now after 6 months, making $38,000 to $52,000 a year with medical, dental benefits, 401k, and all the bells and whistles that go with it. And from some of these households, it's traumatic. It's a game changer. It's like hitting a lottery ticket that now this youth may be the highest wage earner in the home, and they now can have more disposable income. And so these are lives that are being transformed. It's a market that is on fire, and it's a demand that there's more to get involved. And this was predicated on a model that we had prior, which was Pathways Out of Poverty. It was a program designed to take at-risk individuals, not necessarily youths, but adults aged 20 through 65, and train them over a 3-week period to see how many of them can actually find employment. And this was a partnership between our work stop and our Trident One stop and our college and the Sustainability Institute. Well, after 3 years, we not only met the expectations, but we exceeded it. Had about 268 participants with an 86% employment rate. Remember, these are individuals that were at risk in the community doing nothing. And they were trained, skilled, and put to work. And because of that success, it was a game changer. Now, these are some of the things that we've found here in Charleston that have worked. We're producing out quality employees that are sought after by the industry. But the beautiful thing about it, these skill sets, they're duplicatable, they're trainable in any area. And right now in our nation, we keep hearing the words, what do we need more of? Training, opportunities, jobs. Well, this model fits that. It's not a one-stop fit all, but it definitely has all of the ingredients for success. And so we've been pleased here in Charleston that every 6 months we open our doors, we do recruitment, we get a host of individuals that come in, and as a result, we turn out some successes and we keep an alumni community that keeps us going with our word and our name in the community. Our graduates have moved from uncertainty to a life of stability. And that's why the soft skills are so important, that we surround them with opening bank accounts, knowing about investments, knowing about percentage rates, insurance, how to be a good parent, household. So we're not only improving the community, but we're improving the lives in the community. And so actually all boats lift together. And so some of the things that we found, the successes and the nuggets that we really get motivated and excited about, I'm going to ask Brian if he could talk about some of the findings that we found in the field.
Well, I guess I'd just like to say for communities that are considering workforce training programs, one of the things that we have found is that collaboration is key. And we really focus on the industry training and providing a hospitable environment for these individuals to succeed in. We manage the on-the-job training in the communities that we partner with, but the program's success really relies on collaboration with a lot of different kinds of organizations that provide important roles, including the soft skills training. And so this is a partnership-heavy program, and we've found that it's really important for us to focus on what we do well and then allow other organizations that do their thing better than we do to come in and provide those services. And so it becomes a comprehensive program that we're managing and facilitating, but it really relies on partnerships with a lot of other good organizations in the community. And I think, you know, the real important piece of our program is that it is this combination package program of industry training, on-the-job training, apprenticeship and job training, as well as soft skills training, kind of all packaged together. And I think that holistic experience for these at-risk individuals is what we have found best prepares them for real-life jobs out in the community.
Great. Thank you so much, Larry and Brian, for sharing your experience and your program around workforce development. One of the things that's really critical for us to at Clean Energy Works is to look at the way inclusive financing can open the access to new markets that have lucrative opportunities for energy efficiency upgrades that can really lead to a surge of investment that could create these new job opportunities and the kinds of programs that that the Sustainability Institute was describing. And it's also really important to plan for workforce development in areas where work quality really affects whether estimated savings can be achieved, in markets where inclusive financing programs can be offered, but there's not necessarily a workforce ready to be able to embrace the scale of opportunity that may be available. So one of the things that's really critical is working closely with contractors and communities to ensure that the workforce development and the training and certification that's available allows people to perform the work in a well-qualified way, that they have the skills and have that also that pathway out of poverty in a lot of cases. But that's also a function of a key consumer protection that's a part of the pay-as-you-save system, which you've heard us talk about before in the consumer protections webinar that Tammy Agard was presenting on. So we're again going to focus now on looking at a real-life example of workforce development and engaging in workforce development and supporting that kind of training from the perspective specifically of an inclusive financing program, the Help Pays program in the Washita Rural Electric Cooperative Service Area that Tammy Agard's utility is the program operator for. So without further ado, Tammy.
Well, thank you everyone for having me here today. I do want to kind of start out by mentioning that I wasn't planned to be the speaker today, so I'm pitch hitting for my business partner and dear friend Johnny Lacaze today. So I will do my best to handle this end of the shop, if you will. But boy, right away, I just want to say what a fantastic presentation that was. I learned quite a bit about Energy Conservation Corps, and I've been an AmeriCorps fan for a long, long time. So kudos to what Larry, you and your team are doing out there. I think it's fantastic. And actually, after this call, you can look forward to an email from me asking how some of our contractors can go about maybe offering some jobs to these fine folks. So big kudos to you. What I wanted to really sort of talk about today is really how we support and how important it is to support your workforce, is particularly when they're doing on-bill finance, where savings actually need to pay for the work, and you can't rely on rebates or other subsidies to pull in the savings. So can the slide be advanced to see the talking points here, please? Great. So one of the things that we require our contractors to have is a BPI certification or equivalent. And it's not okay just for the business owner to be sitting in the office in the air conditioning to have that certification. We actually require that at least one crew leader have that certification, and that they're on site. Also, in the Help Pays program, we require that an additional 2 days of program-specific training happen, and that's in order to make sure that they're familiar with how we do cost-effective analysis. Again, to underline the fact that we've got to have accurate savings, and we've got to create accurate scopes of work in order to achieve those savings. What our role really is, we prefer to work where the assessor and the contractor are one and the same. And so what our role really is to make sure we give them enough oversight, and that here again, the assessments are absolutely accurate, and that the quality of the work that's performed is just top notch, so we've got great results. So if you go to the next slide, please. So to what Larry was talking about, jobs. I mean, the best way that we have found to scale our effort is literally by doing a great job. And there is no more important relationship than we have than we do with our contractors who are out there literally as the face of the program. And when they're working in folks' homes, they need to, of course, be professional and courteous and clean and have great manners and yada yada. But at the end of the day, that work that they provide has got to actually produce the results that we are suggesting to the member that it's going to produce. And what we found is when that happens, guess what? Word spreads, and it spreads like wildfire. And what happens is friends, family members, neighbors, whatnot, want to participate, and they tell their friends and so on. And what happens is we have a program that is scalable, is scaling, and we've got a lot more participation. And with that, of course, comes more jobs and opportunities for contractors and local economic development. So it's a beautiful circle as long as good quality work is happening. We also encourage our contractors and provide them enough support to where they know how to get into a home, make the recommended work happen in a high quality way, get the results thereafter, and then head out to the next job. Keeping them with a good pace and a high volume of work is a great way to make sure that the contractors will stick around and provide services and continue to provide services. One of the things that we've done we think really well in utility is we treat our contractors literally. We don't have like a gotcha attitude where we're looking for a contractor to fail in an area so we can turn around and provide some sort of mechanism to punish them. What we're looking for at every turn, and Johnny is particularly good at, my colleague is particularly good at, is supporting them with every single piece of the puzzle in order to make sure they can get in, get the job done, get it done right the first time, and move on, get paid, and move on to the next job. Utility, because of Help Pays, has seen from our loan program with the explosive growth of pays, we've seen an area, for example, in Washita, where we had one contractor who stuck around the area and was able to keep work consistent with a 4-member crew. To now we've got 3 contractors working in Washita Electric territory, and in total have a 16-member crew, and that continues to grow. And as a matter of fact, so far we've reached about 4% of Washita's entire service territory, and the neighboring co-ops, friends and family live all over the place these days, and the world is more connected than ever. And sister co-ops next door to Washita Co-op are looking at doing the program because of the pressure their members are putting on them. We'd like to have this program in our area too. So again, really good, consistent work, efficient work, professional work, and high quality results, real results are what drive participation and thus demand for more jobs. So next slide, please. So let's talk about in reality here, what are some of the training and tools that we use. One of the things that my colleague Johnny is so great at providing is literally support whenever and wherever needed, live time in the field. So for an example, something as simple as having a BPI certified crew leader on site sometimes isn't quite enough to get the job done when a house just wants to be a house. And sometimes houses can be really difficult and like to throw curveballs even for the most experienced folks. So what Johnny's put in place is literally a text me right now and tell me you need me right this second, and I will stop whatever I'm doing and get back in touch with you. And he'll follow through. And luckily there's a lot of technology out there right now that can even provide a FaceTime if they need to, that sort of real live virtual support for jobs that are like head scratchers. That's what Johnny calls them, when the house is just wanting to be tough and not wanting to to perform the way it typically would perform when an intervention is made. And so Johnny will get on the phone and again do live FaceTime and things like that to support some troubleshooting that requires sometimes a lot of heads. Another thing that we like to do is not make sure that the administrative costs on the contractor's side are not outrageous. And so one of the things we do, for example, in our optimizer cost-effective analysis software, we've included some features with that allow for automated invoicing, scopes of work, work orders, material lists, those sorts of things to all be created when the original offer is put out there and accepted. So we've got some streamlined services, sort of, when one form gets filled in, the rest get filled in, and we kind of keep the administrative load on the contractors low. We make sure that our feedback to the contractors is absolutely kept up to date, and especially when we get positive feedback, which we get all the time, we always want to give credit where credit is due, and we're constantly, we have biweekly meetings with our contractors. We go over the comments from the field. We literally ask at the closeout of every single job for the member to let us know how our contractors did in particular, and we share the good, bad, and the ugly, and we share it with all of them on the phone at one time, and I think that, again, because they're getting in there, performing high quality work and doing a good job, and the results are really there, people are commenting all the time, complimenting them all the time, inviting them to dinner, seriously inviting them to Thanksgiving, because they're so appreciative of the change in their lives that their work is providing for them. So anyway, letting them know about that, how important that their role is I think a great way to keep everybody positive and focused on even doing better, turning good contractors into great contractors. That's what Johnny always likes to say, that he likes to do. So with that, is there another slide on here?
Nope, that's your last one.
Okay. Sorry, again, I'm pitch hitting for Johnny there, but I wasn't sure if there was 3 or 4 slides on there.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Tammy, for giving us an idea of how this relationship works and what are the ways to support a highly skilled workforce in actually implementing an inclusive finance program like the Help Pays program. That is incredibly valuable expertise. And thank you so much to Larry and Brian for your presentation about the kind of workforce development that can occur in communities. I guess we're going to turn it over to you, audience. We'd like to hear your questions. There should be a little question box in the webinar, so feel free to start typing if you have any questions for our participants, for our panelists. And I'd just like to kick it off myself. I have a question. So imagining a case where a utility is considering implementing an inclusive finance program that could take energy efficiency upgrades to an investment scale, but in an area where perhaps they're in a service area where it's not particularly clear that there's a skilled, highly qualified workforce available to support the kind of scale of investment. I would like to hear where your thoughts are for how you would start thinking about supporting workforce development in an area or scenario such as that.
I'm sorry, I had it on mute. You were speaking to me?
I was throwing it out to all of you. If you have thoughts on that, please take it away, Larry.
Well, on the skill level for the workforce development, and I do appreciate what was just shared about having the quality of work being made available. That's what makes it attractive to the contractors in the industry, but it also gives the homeowner a sense of safety, knowing that they're getting the highest workforce workability. Our trainings involve the BPI certifications, the DET, and selective individuals can go toward the BA. Some of these are a stretch with the capacity for learning. The academics that are required is not the average layman. You need some foundational skills in order to reach those shingles. However, for the workforce that we deal with, the youths do qualify to get DET. Several have gotten BPI, and as a result, it becomes very attractive for the contractors because now they do it as an incubator. They have tapped into a workforce that normally might be overlooked, that they really now give second looks and third looks to fill their needs. So it has worked out for it as far as the skill level.
I can add to that, Max, just a little bit on our end of things. We've had, especially when we first started, we had quite a bit of struggles getting area contractors who were used to building homes and you know, starting from scratch, especially new homes, even started to get interested in energy efficiency because it is so different than what they typically are used to. And so working with partners that are out there, such as the Energy Conservation Corps or others in your local area that are looking at energy efficiency as a specialty, the specialty that it really is a great source to go to try to get this these specialized services to be embraced and ready, because you're going to need them for your program without a doubt. It's also that's a sort of resource for existing contractors to go to if they're thinking about expanding and opening up an energy efficiency arm. That's what happened here in Arkansas. We had several contractors interested, but they didn't really know how to go forward. They saw an opportunity, and so they started bringing on one or two people who had that talent and skill set, and then before they knew it, you know, the demand was there, and so they hired more people, and so on and so forth. And that's, well, in fact, one firm we've got now in Arkansas started with 3 folks, and I think they're up to 45 people now. They work in Mississippi as well, but they started out just providing energy efficiency services for us about maybe 3 years ago. So it's a growing industry. There's definitely jobs. There's definitely money to be made. I think it's just important to make sure that you're partnering as much as you can with the folks that have expertise in the area, because it's not everywhere. It's definitely a specialty.
Thank you. And actually that leads into one of our first questions, which is, have you been able to develop partnerships with any community colleges or technical colleges? So speaking about partnerships, what kind of specifics along those lines have people seen?
Well, I'll comment real quick and then I'll turn it over to Larry. We definitely did. We partnered with Pulaski Tech early on in Central Arkansas and just said, hey, spread the word that we've got work, we've got jobs, and we've got contractors who are willing to hire the right people to literally start these arms of their existing businesses. And they did that. And they're a regular source of personnel for our contractors.
As for me here in Charleston with the Energy Conservation Corps, Sustainability Institute partnered with Trident Technical College, which is a local college here. It's on the main route bus service, so anyone can get to it. They had a continuing education class where you would learn about weatherization technician, and that's what we called it. And the name just was not sexy. It didn't catch on. Folks never showed up for the class. They didn't understand it, and there was no desire, even though there was work to be made and careers to be born. And so what we did was we had to go out and literally recruit individuals to start filling the classes. And it wasn't until like the 3rd or the 4th class when we started having individuals placed directly into industry and the work was there that the community embraced it, and then filling the classes was not difficult at all. But the approach that the college took was to put it in the booklet, in the brochure, with all the other curriculums, and let students decide. And it just was not attractive. No one understood what weatherization technician meant. Now we call it energy efficiency. Now it's not a hard sell at all because the proof is in the pudding. But at the beginning, if you're going to go through a technical college or a school, I think it's going to be important that you have a good recruiter who could explain what the work involves and the benefits from the work. It's going to take some shaking hands, partnerships, meeting people, and walking them through the process, because on a whole, most people don't understand energy efficiency or weatherization technician to the level we're speaking.
Thank you. That's awesome. We don't currently have any additional questions, so now would be an excellent time if anybody from our audience has additional follow-up questions, or frankly, if the panelists have any questions for each other too, feel free to jump in and ask those at this time.
Larry, actually, this is Tammy. I have a question for you, Larry. When did your work with AmeriCorps start? I know it's a grant program. When did that start?
We've been doing this for 9 years, and we have been building the program. And because of the success of the ECC, we were able to get funding for the VCC, which is a program that works parallel to the ECC, the same setup, the same time length, except it's for veterans that have returned home from the military. They come, get retooled, and then they get launched out to industry. And so we had two parallel programs working together, but they both were based off the ECC model because it's been proven, and AmeriCorps supports it greatly. And so as a result, we put the best practices together, I guess you could say, in a cookbook. So that way, now that we know it works in Charleston, it can literally work anywhere. So if there's a location that's interested in having the AmeriCorps serving program to be partnership with an incubator for industry, it's ready to go.
Have any of your, well, I know as an AmeriCorps member, they're really a volunteer, aren't they, when they're earning their stipend?
Correct.
Have any of your members gone out of state, do you know, to seek employment or get employed in another state?
No, most of them are right here in South Carolina. We were contacted from Connecticut, and where's the other? Boston. We were contacted by industries from up there that wanted to use us as an incubator. And when the individuals finished with our program, they would put them up for 6 months on room and board, and then they would take that away and have to pay their own rent and so forth. And when we did the math, it just didn't work out. Even though they would make more money up there because of the cost of living, it would pretty much be breaking even, so it wasn't advantageous. But we were contacted from out-of-state industry that was interested in using us as an incubator. And right now, we serve our local industry as the number 1 and number 2 industries here in South Carolina.
Okay, good to know. We've got some work happening in North Carolina too with the Upgrade to Safe program, and we're getting quite busy there. And we were just talking with our contractors just the other day about trying to help them find more workers. And so I thought maybe I could refer them to you.
That would be awesome. But now we only handle about 10 individuals every 6 months. And so we have a small group, and when 10 come through, and you've got 2 industries that are looking, 3 that are going entrepreneurship, and 2 that might want to return back into the program, it's not a whole lot of workers that are being launched at any one time. But the beautiful thing about it is the program can be lifted. So you can take this and have a cookie cutter approach somewhere in Virginia, somewhere in North Carolina, and you can make it work right there for the industry that's already in place.
So I've got a buddy over at Workforce Development in Arkansas. I'm going to let him know about this.
Yeah, it's an AmeriCorps program, and we're nonprofit. We built it to change lives. We built it to help communities. And one thing about our team here, we're stewards. We don't try to own it. And that's very important, that our whole approach is about making impacts in people's lives and changing futures. And so that's our heart, that's our mission. And if Brian was here, he would really speak well to that. And so if it could be of advantage to anyone to make differences in their community and lift folks and help them along the way, that's our greatest joy.
Sure it is, sure it is. Well, hats off to you. You're just doing wonderful work. Wonderful work.
Well, thanks. It's a team thing. I'm just the only one on the phone, but this is a team thing.
Very inspiring. It's exciting to hear about all the potential opportunity and to contemplate the potential scale of investment and support for really life-sustaining jobs in persistent poverty regions of the country that then also support reducing the energy burden on members of rural electric cooperatives. And I haven't seen any other questions come across the wire, so if there are more questions, act now. Otherwise, I may hand it over to Wesley to close us out.
All right, thanks, Max, and all of my thanks to our presenters. Great presentation as always. It is truly inspiring programs to hear you guys describe, and we hear a lot from utilities all throughout the region about the need for better, more well-trained contractors out in the workforce, supporting their energy efficiency programs really across the board, and especially the kind of programs we've got going in Charleston. Makes me think a lot about what's going on. We talk a lot about job transition training up around Appalachian region in North Carolina and Kentucky and Tennessee. That sounds like a really ripe program opportunity that those folks up there could use. So, very inspiring, very, very happy to hear it. And so with that, I'll move on to kind of closing out. I just want to say it's been a pretty remarkable journey through this. This is the last of our 8-part series on inclusive financing. I hope it's been valuable to all of our attendees. We've had hundreds of people from across the country, from the Midwest, Colorado, Minnesota, folks in New York City and Pennsylvania. I mean, just really growing way beyond the southeastern region we serve, and we're very proud to be a resource for folks nationally as well. So as you can see, we've kind of taken it, pretty much covered soup to nuts, everything you need to know about how to create an inclusive financing program for energy efficiency. I want to also take a point to call out Clean Energy Works, who's been our partner in developing all of this content and delivering all of these series. They've been fantastic partners, both Holmes Hummel and Max Toth. I highly want to encourage everyone who's thinking about pursuing the pay-as-you-save program model, which is I think one of the more successful tariff on-bill financing programs across the country. Definitely reach out to these folks. They're tremendous talents and a great resource for connecting with experts in your state, getting kind of technical details on program design, and just been tremendous partners to work with. I also want to thank all of our amazing presenters. We've had, of course, Tammy on with us a couple of times. We've had CEOs of electric companies around the region. We've had program implementers, community advocates, public service commission representatives, attorneys, and policy experts from all around the country. So it's been a really kind of broad spectrum of expertise that we've been able to bring to this topic, and we're really, really appreciative for all the time they donated towards it. For those of you who want to go back and refresh your memory on all this different content we've covered, or if you have a colleague or somebody who's interested in setting up on-bill financing programs, these are going to be continuously available on SEIA's website at seaalliance.org. Currently, you can find them all within our webinar archive page. Feel free to check out our website. There's tons of great information there on energy efficiency policy issues, financing, building energy codes, anything that you might be curious about. It's a good place to start. Also, be sure to check out the link to our annual conference that's coming up October 16th through the 18th here in Atlanta, Georgia. We're going to be at the Georgia Tech Global Learning Center. It's one of our biggest annual gathering of regional utility reps, product developers, program implementers, service providers of all kinds. So if you're looking to meet some people in the industry or connect with some experts who can help you with your programs where you are, highly recommend you come down to Atlanta and meet some of our members. And so with that, I will thank you all again for joining us today. And if there's anything you ever need, you can reach us at sealliance.org. And thank you all for your time, and thank you for your commitment to making energy efficiency available in your community. And with that, we'll say goodbye. Thank you.